Ethan Cole sat alone at the corner table of Le Jardin, the kind of upscale restaurant where even the silence felt expensive. The faint hum of jazz floated through the air, mingling with the clinking of wine glasses and the low murmur of quiet conversations. Candlelight danced across polished silverware, and the scent of truffle butter hung in the air. Yet, none of it reached him. He checked his watch again. 7:43 p.m. His date was already 43 minutes late. The waiter passed by, offering a sympathetic smile as he topped off Ethan's water glass for the fourth time. Ethan nodded politely but didn't speak. The truth was, he didn't know what to say. What did a man like him even do on a blind date? His assistant had set this up, said it was time he met someone normal. Someone outside his corporate orbit, away from flashing cameras and fake smiles. Still, sitting there, he couldn't help feeling foolish. He wasn't used to being the one waiting. He was the man others waited for, the man who owned the building, the company, sometimes even the conversation. But now, with every tick of his Rolex, he felt smaller, more human. And that unnerved him. He reached for his phone, scrolling through the messages with the urge to text his assistant and call it off. Blind dates aren't for me, he could write. Or maybe, tell her thanks, but I'm done. But before he could type a word, his thumb hesitated above the screen. He thought of his friend David's teasing voice. You've closed billion-dollar deals, Ethan. You can handle one dinner with a woman. He sighed and slipped the phone back into his pocket. Maybe she had a good reason. Maybe life had gotten in the way, as it often did. He remembered the message he'd received earlier, just a name. Mia. No last name, no photo. Just Mia. Something about that simplicity had made him curious. The waiter approached again, softly clearing his throat. Would you like to order, sir? Or wait a little longer? Ethan glanced at the empty chair across from him, then at the untouched wine glasses. I'll wait, he said quietly. He didn't know why, but something inside him whispered that leaving now would mean missing something important. Something he didn't yet understand. Outside, snow began to fall softly against the windows. Inside, the empty chair waited, just like he did. The soft chime of the restaurant door cut through the quiet hum of conversation. Ethan glanced up instinctively, expecting to see a woman in heels, maybe wrapped in a scarf and an apology. Instead, every head turned slightly as a little girl, no taller than the table, stepped inside, clutching a worn teddy bear in one hand and a crumpled napkin in the other. She was bundled up in a red wool coat with buttons shaped like snowflakes, her dark hair gathered into uneven pigtails. Her boots squeaked faintly against the polished floor as she looked around, eyes wide and searching. The hostess started toward her, confusion flickering across her face, but the girl didn't wait. She spotted Ethan and made a beeline straight for his table. Excuse me, mister, she said in a small but steady voice, stopping right in front of him. Her breath came out in little clouds of white, and her cheeks were pink from the cold. My mommy's sorry she's late. Ethan blinked, caught completely off guard. He set down his coffee cup, unsure if he'd heard right. Your mommy, he repeated carefully. The little girl nodded solemnly, as if delivering royal news. Then she reached up and placed the napkin she'd been holding onto the table. In uneven handwriting, it read, Traffic. Please don't leave. Mia. A surprised chuckle escaped Ethan's lips. He stared at the note for a moment, then at the little girl who stood watching him expectantly. So, he said slowly, you must be the messenger, huh? She brightened immediately. Uh-huh. Mommy said I had to be brave and tell you. She said nice people wait. That last part made something twist gently in his chest. Nice people. He wasn't sure that's what people called him. Most called him cold, or distant, or busy. But this tiny stranger had looked him right in the eye and said it like she meant it. What's your name? Ethan asked softly. Lily, she said proudly. I'm 5.5. She held up all 5 fingers, then the other hand's thumb for emphasis. Mommy says that's old enough to be responsible. Ethan smiled despite himself. You're doing an excellent job, Miss Lily. Her eyes sparkled. Thank you. Then, as quickly as she'd arrived, she spotted someone outside the door and waved eagerly. That's Mommy. See, I told her you wouldn't leave. Ethan turned toward the entrance, his pulse quickening for reasons he couldn't quite name. The woman he'd been waiting for, Mia, had finally arrived. the restaurant door opened again, letting in a gust of cold air and the sound of soft snow crunching outside. A woman stepped in, flushed cheeks, breath visible in the winter chill, hair tumbling loose from a hurried ponytail. Her eyes scanned the room until they landed on the little girl in the red coat, who was waving excitedly from Ethan's table. "Mama," Lily called out, grinning. He waited. The woman's face softened with visible relief. She hurried over, heels clicking on marble, and the faint scent of vanilla and winter rain followed her. "Lily, sweetheart, I told you to stay by the door," she said gently before turning to Ethan, mortified. "I am so sorry. You must think I'm incredibly rude." Ethan stood, every polished instinct telling him to reassure her. "No need to apologize," he said, smiling faintly. "Your little messenger handled things perfectly." Mia laughed softly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Of course she did. She's been my little partner since she could walk." Then, realizing how unpolished she must look, wind-tossed hair, a touch of exhaustion in her eyes, she blushed. "I swear I'm not usually this chaotic. My babysitter canceled last minute, and I couldn't find anyone else. I didn't want to stand you up, so I brought her." Ethan's gaze softened. "Best decision you could have made," he said, and meant it. For a moment, the noise of the restaurant faded, leaving only the warmth of candlelight and the quiet thud of her heart against the world's noise. She hadn't expected him to be kind. Not with that tailored suit and that calm, CEO presence that practically screamed untouchable. "I really owe you an apology," Mia said again, sliding into her seat as Lily climbed into the chair beside her, already reaching for the bread basket. "You don't owe me anything," Ethan replied, sitting back down. "You showed up. That's more than most people do these days." Their eyes met briefly, his calm and steady, hers bright and a little flustered. And just like that, something shifted. The awkwardness melted into quiet curiosity. Lily giggled suddenly, buttering her roll with more enthusiasm than skill. "Mommy, can I have dessert first?" Ethan chuckled, catching Mia's embarrassed glance. "I think we're breaking all the rules tonight," he said warmly. And Mia smiled, really smiled, for the first time that evening. By the time the waiter cleared away the main course, the tension that had hung over the table like invisible mist had completely vanished. Laughter now floated easily between them, soft and genuine. The empty chair that had once symbolized disappointment now felt like the heart of something new, alive, unpredictable, and strangely comforting. Lily sat between them, swinging her legs beneath the table as she concentrated on drawing little hearts and snowflakes on napkins with a borrowed pen. Every so often, she'd hold one up proudly, declaring, "This one's for you, Mr. Ethan." Each time, he'd grin, play along, and add the napkin to a growing stack beside his plate as if they were priceless masterpieces. Mia watched them, her chest tightening in a way that both warmed and frightened her. She hadn't expected this, hadn't expected him. Ethan was polite, of course, but more than that, he listened. He wasn't the type to fill silence for the sake of it, he spoke when he meant something. He asked about her work at the community center, her plans, even how she managed to balance motherhood and life. No one ever asked her those questions anymore. "It's not easy," she admitted quietly. "Some days it feels like the world expects you to do everything with a smile, even when you're falling apart inside." Ethan nodded, his expression unreadable but his tone soft. "People forget that strength doesn't always look polished. Sometimes it just looks like showing up." Mia looked at him then, really looked, and saw the truth in his words. Beneath his calm exterior, she sensed loneliness, too. Different from hers, but just as deep. For a heartbeat, the noise of the restaurant faded away, replaced by something unspoken but undeniable. When dessert arrived, warm chocolate lava cake with 2 spoons, Lily was already fast asleep, her tiny head resting against her mother's arm, breathing soft and even. Mia laughed quietly, smoothing her daughter's hair. She didn't even make it to dessert. Ethan smiled, his voice a murmur. "That's okay. Next time, we'll order her one to go." "Next time," Mia repeated, surprised yet smiling. He met her gaze with quiet certainty. "If you'll let there be one." Outside, the snow continued to fall, gentle, endless, forgiving. And inside Le Jardin, at a table meant for 2, something beautiful had quietly begun at a table for 3.